I have just finished making a small lingerie collection for myself, and I want to tell you all the process behind it, especially the design process, because this is something that I don't get to share publicly very often, or like almost never, because my work as a freelance means that everything that I do is protected by NDAs, but this is a personal project, so I can do whatever I want with it. Let's start at the beginning with the materials. And the unusual thing about this collection is that the fabric comes from literally the other side of the world. My friend Trudy, who also makes amazing pattern making videos on YouTube, in my completely unbiased opinion, she sent me this fabric as part of a mystery fabric swap. The fabric was a modal knit, and this is very far from the usual laces and silks that I normally work with, and that was part of the challenge because we were supposed to work with the materials of the other. So I sent Trudy a box full of laces, and she sent me this. I think there are 2 or 3 meters of this super soft modal fabric. My first instinct was to kind of adapt this plain modal fabric to my normal style. So I tried mixing it with different laces, and I went and I did some sketches. I normally do very, very bad sketches before I go to design in clothes, just to have an idea of the structure of the garment or where do I want the seams to be, things like that. So then I went into clothes, I started putting laces and modal fabric together, more or less in the shapes that I had in mind, but it didn't work. I didn't like what I was doing. I felt like the collection didn't have any cohesion and everything looked kind of too conventional. And also I felt like the lingerie set that I was making was feeling very disconnected with the loungewear set. Basically, it didn't have a clear direction and I was feeling very frustrated. However, I realized that I could stop trying to adapt the fabric into what I wanted it to be and instead look into the unique qualities of the fabric itself. And modal in this case is super, super soft. It feels very nice against the skin. So that inspired me to do a collection that leans into that feeling, into that kind of the embrace of a friend, which also matches the whole idea of this project, which was a collaboration that was born of my friendship with Trudy. So I went and did some bad sketches again, and then I opened Clothes 3D to start with the patterns, and I came out with 4 designs. So I mentioned that I wanted to make garments that could be worn together and also by themselves, and that also worked in layers. So the full collection ended up being a pair of loungewear pants with super, super wide legs because I wanted to take advantage of that drapey quality of the modal fabric, and also a wide waistband that I made with a different fabric. I decided to mix this modal knit with a cotton rib knit that I already had that is a bit thicker and also more stable because I wanted to add that kind of interest, not just in the visual sense, but also as a way to enrich that tactile experience of wearing these garments. So I made the loungewear pants a loungewear top, and the top also has a wide waistband that mirrors the one in the trousers. And again, I wanted to take advantage of the drapiness of the modal, so I added some pleats in the body, and I also added some wide sleeves that are gathered with some rib cuffs. So then for the lingerie set, I made a soft bra that also played with the direction of the fabric, the kind of the rib stripes of the modal fabric fabric, and the panty also played with that directionality. And also both pieces mix the modal fabric with the rib fabric. And that is one of the kind of techniques that I use to connect both parts of the collection, like the loungewear pieces and the lingerie set. I use the same materials, mixed in more or less the same percentages, and also I use some smaller details. For example, the elastic that I use to finish the edges, the waistband edge of the panty and the lower edge of the bra band is the same that I use to finish the waistband in both the top and the loungewear band. So I think this contributes to give that cohesion to the whole collection. And also all of the pieces kind of share the same theme. So the theme of the collection is that I want these pieces to embody that sense of being comfortable in your own skin, of like taking advantage of that softness of the modal fabric, but also the thicker texture of the rib fabric. But I didn't want to equal comfort with basic, so I added some design features that evoke more traditional lingerie pieces. For example, the seams on the panty mirror the kind of seams that you would find on a garter belt, and on the bra it has this kind of fake underwire look because first it adds support, and I wanted to make a bra that was supportive but also makes you wonder, like, is it an underwire bra, is it a soft bra? It kind of seems more structured than what it is. And I added the little garter clips on the straps also to mirror the garter belt seams on the panty. So those two pieces are playing with the traditional concepts of lingerie, with the kind of pieces that are normally associated with like sexy lingerie, like special occasion lingerie, like a garter belt, but by incorporating them in a set that is designed to be comfortable, I want to highlight the luxury of feeling good with yourself, like feeling comfortable but also confident and beautiful. So once I had the final designs ready in Close 3D, I had developed the patterns with my own avatar, like the avatar that I have made for my measurements. So I was reasonably sure that they were going to work. I didn't make any test and I went straight into cutting the final fabric. And in this process of cutting, I want to present you my best addition to my sewing arsenal this past year, and that is my projector. Usually the whole cutting process is an ordeal for me. I really hate it. But with the projector, I can reduce that time at least, because I can create a marker in Close 3D and then I can just project that file into the fabric directly with the projector. That allows me to waste less fabric and also not having to print all the patterns. And what I do is that I put the projector in this kind of like photography background stand. I connect it to my tablet. There is a website that allows you to calibrate the projector perfectly, and then I just project it into the fabric. And I know that some people go straight into cutting, but I'm not that brave. So what I do is that I trace all the pieces with chalk, or like these fancy pens that behave like chalk. And then once I have all the pieces marked, I cut them. And I do it this way because I know that, especially with knit fabric, it tends to move well while you cut it. So I prefer to mark everything and then cut. So the process of cutting usually takes me a good amount of time and I hate every second of it, but I usually listen to an audiobook or something. And after that, I just used my overlock machine to overlock all the seams in the loungewear set and also the seams in the panty. For the bra, I constructed it entirely on my normal sewing machine because I was going to fully line it, so I didn't see any reason to overlock the seams. And I also find that the bra requires more precision, that I think it's easier to get with a normal sewing machine. One thing that I'm showing in the screen is how I cut all the extra seam allowance on some parts of the bra, because some of the pieces have 3 layers of fabric, especially the center gore. I added like the external fabric, the modal fabric, the internal fabric that was a cotton knit lining, and then I added in between a marquisette layer to make it more stable. So I usually, when that happens, I cut away the extra seam allowance, and that allows me to have a better finish. So this is the final result, and with sharing this process I wanted to show how our experiences and our emotions can shape the way that we design, and how we can find inspiration in unexpected places, like the qualities of a fabric or even a friendship. And I think that going deep into that unique mix of experiences and emotions and points of views is what can make us better designers, and it's something that shows our humanity, which we know that in this age of AI and all that bullshit is actually important, to show that you're not just copy-pasting what is already there, but instead you're designing from your heart. It sounds super corny, but also I think it's true. Like, I think a design that is rooted in a story, a collection that has its origin in a story or in a feeling or in an experience, feels much more powerful and much more cohesive than a collection that is just a series of conventionally nice pieces, but in the end feel kind of empty and generic. So that is one thing that you can do to find your voice as a designer or as an artist in any discipline, really. And also another reason why I wanted to share this process is because for me it's not just an excuse to make pretty things. For me, this collection tells a story of friendship, about finding your people when you least expect it, because that's how I met Trudy. Like, we met in some like online meeting for designers or something, and we bonded over our shared nerdiness about clothes 3D. So I love how this collaboration was born of that connection. And you should of course go and watch Trudy's video with the pieces that she made with the laces that I sent her. I will put the link in the description. I'm sure you're going to love it. And also let me know, what do you think about this collection? Tell me if you like it, or tell me if you didn't like it, or also tell me about if you have some nice story that you want to share because you think that it can inspire your next creation. And with all that, have a lovely rest of your day and see you soon in the next video.